I think we don't fully appreciate the way in which the social dilemma is actually a national security dilemma. And we'll look back at this period as a time when we invented a new kind of weapon. Who needs missile systems or bioweapons or nuclear weapons when I have a truth weapon? If I can take down your society's understanding of reality, if I can leave you in such confusion and disarray, then it doesn't matter how many F-35s or nuclear weapons or battle cruisers you have roaming around the Atlantic. And in fact, social media changes these global power asymmetries. While it can cost $1 trillion to invent an F-35, Facebook and TikTok can essentially be China and Russia's F-35 against the United States. You could even argue in the case of Facebook that we built it for them. Because once you digitize your society, your national borders go away. The $50 billion a year that we spend on the Department of Homeland Security is erased in the digital world. I think we're experiencing a sea change in the meaning of national security when we digitize our countries. Think about how much of the United States economy, our communications, our children's development, our education systems, our voting systems are essentially all happening online. Less and less of the laws and the physical infrastructure that defines the countries that we live in is the important infrastructure that is protected by our national borders or by our missile defense systems or by our militaries. Increasingly, the borders that matter the most are our digital borders. While only some countries can afford a nuclear weapon or an F-35, social media changes the cost landscape for destabilizing other countries through information advantages. In fact, that's the phrase that I have heard is popular in the military to talk about this, that truth decay changes the information advantage that one has over an enemy. So it's much faster and much cheaper and more immediate to destabilize an entire regime. And the more fault lines there are in your country, the easier it is to splinter them and sow havoc. And until we recognize that our ability to have faith and confidence in what is true is at the basis or is at the foundation of our capacity to do everything else as a country or as a society or to be effective, we will keep losing this battle. And this is the world that we find ourselves in. But it doesn't have to be this way. The new national defense strategy could prioritize informational security and cognitive security of the country against the threats of truth decay and foreign information operations. I think we have to see this as a primary domain of warfighting that's much cheaper than all the other forms of warfighting that used to be required. How do we come up with the cultural mechanisms to defend our psychological and cultural borders in the same way that countries who are on the border of Russia or China, like Estonia, are very aware of the fact that they're under siege from Russia? And so the whole citizenship is thinking constantly about what stories are in the interest of Russia to spread here. If you're in Taiwan, you think all the time about what stories China wants to plant because we know that China wants to take over Taiwan. But in the United States, we don't think about what countries have an interest in certain narratives that are being spread. For example, we know that Russia actually used bot armies to upregulate environmentalist activists in the United States who were against fracking. Now, this isn't because Russia wants to stop climate change, but because Russia wants the United States to be dependent on more foreign oil. And the more the world is against domestic fracking, the more the world wants to buy Russian oil. In 1968, media theorist Marshall McLuhan predicted in War and Peace in the Global Village that World War III will be a guerrilla information war with no division between military and civilian participation. This technological rewiring is precipitating a growing online war. We are already engaged in it, and everyone is a participant, like it or not.